Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Industry Show. We are here today with Suneeta Neogi, President and co-founder of Serenity Technologies, sitting in their amazing office with a lot of machines back here, literally growing diamonds. So we're looking forward to that. And Suneeta, thank you for having us here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Our pleasure. So let's start with the beginning. Tell us about you, the city you grew up in, the school you went to.
I'm originally from Bangalore,
Okay.
but I grew up in Ranchi, northern part.
Yeah.
So my dad actually, he was at Mecon Colony, where metallurgical consultants. And so he moved there very soon after his marriage, and then I was born in the South India, but pretty much grew up there and did all my schooling at Loreto Convent, missionary school. I think it's pretty typical.
I remember Loreto I used to watch Bone Meter Quiz Contest. This was back in the day, and Loreto used to have the best kids from, always winning those competitions.
Yeah. And the whole idea of going to a missionary school, all-girls school, learn the language well. English was the big thing. So so my sister and I have an older sister, so we both went to Loreto. And when I was, once I finished high school, then I moved on to college. I went to IIT Kanpur, and that was my big dream, that this is what I want to do. I want to be an engineer. And my idea was that, okay, if I want to be an engineer, I want to go to the best school. So there was a bunch of effort involved in that.
Sure.
And then once I went into engineering at IIT, that was a very transformative experience. And then after that, I came to US for graduate studies. I went to State College, to Penn State University, and I did my master's there. I started with metallurgical engineering, then I did fuel science, which is like a chemical engineering, and then I moved on into material science. And this I did at North Carolina State University, and that was my PhD program. In a sense, I started from State College, moved to North Carolina. My husband also went to North Carolina State. We've been together for a long time. I met him at IIT, and we have the exactly same background.
Nice.
So, friends first, life partners after.
And business partners now.
And now business partners. So we really are truly partnership in everything.
Wow.
So after that, during PhD, I actually applied for an internship at Intel. And so partway through my PhD program, almost third year, I moved to Intel for a summer program. And during that, the research topic I was working on was very interesting to Intel. So they offered me an internship all the way through my PhD. And that was a great break for me because, I had access to a lot of equipment. I could do, university campuses, so many students, very little equipment, very little facilities. So that was great. I spent 3 years doing research. I practically worked for them while I was a student. To them, I was the lab rat. So I really got great industry experience, and then I started working for them. I worked for nearly a decade. And then during that time, I also had my daughter. So that journey then carried on. My husband is really the kind who's not the corporate person. I worked in the big corporate world. He was always interested in startup. So, he moved to Portland. He also had this big journey where we've been separated many times because of our, career focus or interests. So he was at Oak Ridge National Lab. We were like, how do we now meet? Because I knew I wanted to be at Intel. He was at ORNL. So somehow, we agreed that he will move. So he came to Portland, then we set up. He started working for Philips. Then slowly as things went along and we were busy with our careers, we thought, we always had this idea that we need to do something, not just work for someone. And that idea had always been there, but we didn't know how to do it, what to do. You need a break somewhere. that break actually came for my husband, Jay. He kind of really, I can say, started us along the path of small business venture, thinking for doing something ourselves, being a creator, innovator, that kind of a thing.
So how did this thing come about, right? So obviously you guys are working, doing your own thing. You're working with Intel, and he's working with Philips. What was the break point, I guess? What was the inflection point? How did you guys decide on? Did you guys always start with? Today you manufacture diamonds, and you're like core into the depth of this. But how did it start?
Yeah. Well, see, our background is in materials technology, and specifically mine is in process engineering. I have dealt with semiconductor materials, specifically silicon, and I don't know if most people may not know it, but diamond is a semiconductor.
Yes.
Other materials like silicon carbide, these are all semiconductors. They may be materials of other use, but to us it started out that way.
Material, yeah.
And the break really came when my husband, when he was working with a startup, he just came across this, thought process of, he was dealing with inscriptions, dealing with focused ion beam machinery, how to write small. Actually, nanoscale was back then.
Wow.
It's not new.
Right.
So he inscribed something really, really small. And somehow that caught the interest of somebody in the industry. And one thing led to another, and De Beers was interested to understand the technology. At that time, I was at Intel, but I was also in the lab dealing with analytical tools, everything dealing with microscopy, looking at things at the nanoscale. So we would collaborate in our off hours, talk about stuff, and from that was born this whole notion of inscribing diamond. But there is methods to inscribe diamond where it is just visible to you, and it's a method to track the diamond to put its certification
it's genuine
number.
And
But what came about through this research was a method to inscribe the table of the diamond, and it would be invisible.
And the
So
purpose would be just for verification, that nobody can see it.
Verification, branding, what have you. So it's called focused ion beam inscriptions, and it's done at a really nanoscale. It's completely invisible unless you view it in a particular manner. And this was very interesting to De Beers, and it got licensed. We were really green in those days. We had no clue about how to do things. But yes, it was great. We were excited, and it was licensed. Then slowly, with time, there were more opportunities and issues that started coming with conversations we're having with this gem and jewelry industry, which is a fairly traditional world. There is not much technology there. But problems that started coming up, we started thinking everything is material science here. So these problems can be solved. So as we continue to work with our own jobs, which were very, very different, we thought, comes a time where either we take a risk and jump right into this and make something out of it, or else it's not going to happen. You can't do it in a part-time or an off-hour thing. So he quit everything first, and I was like the provider of stability. Then after a point, I moved. I decided to quit Intel, and I moved here to Temecula to do a consultancy job with this company called International Rectifier. And they're actually right across the street from here. And now they are in Fignon.
Oh, right.
So I consulted with them for some time, and then I scoped this area. We really loved it. We had lived in Portland forever. It was this big place of rain, and it was quite depressing if it rain
to the desert.
So then we decided, okay, let's move here. And then we started very small. We just rented a warehouse. We started with one machine that we built, and at that time we were really working on enhancement of gem materials. We just wanted to add value. So our thoughts were like, if you any gem that comes from the earth is not really fit for consumption. You have to make it fit for it. Typically you would just cut it, polish it, but then we thought there's a lot more to it, so let's just do things with it. So we started with color enhancements, clarity enhancements, then slowly one thing led to another. We started working on diamonds, and then we did this. We have now patents on all these things. We were the first who came up with how to do pink diamond treatments, and that got licensed. From there, things just kept moving, and we are just in a problem-solving mode. We talk to people, things come up, but now we've reached what we call the pinnacle of everything.
So these diamonds that you were working on, these are authentic diamonds that you're kind of augmenting by color or inscriptions and other things.
Yeah.
And then at some point you started manufacturing lab diamonds.
See, we did basic research about how one would go about creating diamond in the lab. And that was almost a decade ago. But the environment was not suitable at that time. There's a lot of propaganda against lab grown, lab created, because there's all this thing about natural diamonds, and natural diamonds value is very, very high. So that was not the time, but we kept, keeping that on the back burner while we did other things to grow our business. But more recently, I would say in the last 3 years, our focus has completely shifted towards lab creation, to not just enhance what somebody gives you, but to create the material itself.
And so just so people know this, and I've done some basic research, I'm no expert, but from what I understand, these diamonds to the naked eye are exactly the same as a real diamond. There is no way to tell them unless you put them through certain either chemicals or under a microscope, but then they're 10% of the value of a diamond.
Yeah, see, the value that is assigned to it is something that is, you would say, man-made.
Right.
That's the man-made part of it. But in reality, if you grow a diamond in the laboratory, it is nothing but diamond.
Right.
There's no difference. In fact, you could almost say it's purer.
Right.
It can be made perfect,
yes,
depending on how you do it. But the value of it has to be pegged to something.
Right.
And the way the industry goes is we are pegging the value of the lab-created diamond to the natural diamond.
Right.
But our thought process really goes towards, there is no conflict. There was this whole huge thing about conflict diamonds and how it brings destruction in societies, that people die for it. In South, in Africa, what's happening? There's so much mining. Then there was the Kimberley process, and how one should actually be mining diamonds, and how what you wear on your finger should not have caused somebody's death.
Same thing like fur or leather or any of those.
It's gone through that similar phase, and now today, as we speak, I think everything has changed. Even today, natural diamond is the biggest market, but lab-grown diamond is it's facing exponential growth. There's huge demand for it, but there's very few people who know how to do it.
So we have a question here from the audience. So this is from Sonika. I believe she's a friend of yours.
Yeah, I know her.
She says, material science, diamond is a semiconductor, and all the awesome innovation thereafter. Dear Suneeta, you make us so proud. So
oh, thanks, Sonika. You're the best.
So it has gone through this transformation, and now I believe it's more acceptable. Lab diamonds are, I guess, if not equal, they're at least acceptable to the audience. They don't have this kind of stigma that this is not natural, and hence we're not gonna.
Yeah, it will always be a lot of work goes into how you project what it is, what words you use. If you say synthetic, it gives the wrong feel. So creation, it's all creation, and it's literally the same thing. You're putting the atoms of carbon in a particular lattice form, and it is basically diamond, and it's forever.
So in terms of, like you said, one could just say that I want it made to this specification, I want it of this color, this size. You have complete authority in terms of defining that.
Yes, absolutely. You start with what you would call the seed, and you would grow it. The growth is very, very slow. You have to be patient, but if you think about natural diamonds, they took a while to form in the earth.
So I was, in my head, when I thought you create lab diamonds, I was thinking these are, you just kind of, there is a process, there is a machinery, there are some chemicals that are put together, and you just manufacture it. But then this morning you said you're really growing them.
Yeah. This is, something what you would call, you have a reactor. This is a piece of machinery you have to build, in which you create this environment where you can actually manipulate material at a nanoscale. So you would be bringing in elements in the form of gases in, but then you have to work in what's called a plasma. If you look at the sun, it's a plasma.
Right.
And all the elements are in a very highly activated state. They're all ionized.
Right.
So you have to create that environment, and then you put the seed of material that you have to have fabricated, which is diamond. And that little plate, you start growing it vertically. You have to have there's all these orientation, there's a lot of material science involved in it, but that seed will start growing. And it'll grow over days, and this equipment has to be completely stable for 24/7.
Wow. So give us a sense of, to create a diamond of this size, so many carats, like how long does it take?
Yeah, so for example, if I want to make a 1 carat diamond after it's been cut and polished, I would start with something like a 7 millimeter by 7 millimeter substrate, which is the diamond itself. And that's seed, as I call it, is very, very thin. It's only 300 microns.
Wow.
To give you an idea of microns, one strand of your hair is 100 microns.
Yes.
So this is about 300 microns, and then you start growing it. Typically anywhere between 10 to 14 days, with a lot of chemistry involved, this thing will grow. And once it reaches a certain height, it's actually a block. It's like a mini little building. And then you take that block, and then you cut it, you shape it, you polish it.
So it's exactly the same as a natural diamond.
Yeah, and then you do a lot of post-processing steps, and then you have your gem. And once it's on your finger,
it's exactly the same.
It's exactly the same.
Wow. So, you talked about this journey coming from, exploring certain ideas, augmenting diamonds, to growing lab diamonds now. What is the size and scale of your operations at Serenity now? You're also looking at branching out into retail.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. So when we thought about lab creation of diamond, we also know that our focus changed to everything that is created. So we also, right now, there is another material which is silicon carbide, also a semiconductor, and it is brilliant. It's the next hardest material to diamond, and it can be fashioned into a gem. So we create that. We have a joint venture partnership with, you won't believe this company in India, which is the Aryamon Group. They came from this world of I don't know if you heard of All Out, the mosquito repellent company. They are our partner.
Okay.
And it's an amazing collaboration between them and us, and so we created this silicon carbide material, which is now, we have offices in various locations. The material comes to us cut and polished, but it's not ready for consumption. We have to transform it into what it needs to be. So we have equipment here, we transform it, and we actually distribute this gem. There's a lot of people who buy this, and it goes into retail, but it's still not something that the common man on the street knows anything about it. So we came up with the brand name Neo. It's got various background. Neo, my last name is Neogi, and Neo means something new. We just thought that's a easy, catchy word, so we call this gemstone Neo, and this year we're launching it in jewelry. And this fits the segment of people who cannot afford natural diamond, they cannot afford lab created diamond, but they can now afford Neo, and it's forever. Works the same as diamond.
Nice. So you also had, or you probably still have, this partnership where you were partnering up with Titan Industries in India, who was using whatever you created here in pretty much all of their jewelry.
Yes, and that one is just yet another gem. It's another lab-created gem. Cubic zirconia is used as in fashion jewelry. It's a very, very cheap material. So we have the technology where we can put diamond skin over that cubic zirconia. And by doing so, we gave it better optical properties and better performance. That's what Titan was interested in. So we produced diamantine, as we called it. Diamantine means like a diamond. And we were their exclusive supplier of this. They put it into gold, and they just,
and it was a pretty
went to
popular
town
brand.
with it. Yeah.
So with Neo, your plans are to kind of do it on your own in a way, and you're looking at e-commerce, I believe, to...
Yeah, Neo is the jewelry that we want to, it's still coming through our joint venture, but the focus is the US market, and we want to go direct to the consumer. And we want to be able to pass on the cost savings that we can do, because we are the manufacturer, and cut out all the stuff that happens in between, and make it possible for anyone to wear diamonds. They can call it diamond if they like. It doesn't, nobody can recognize it until you chemically evaluate it.
So the end product is going to be the diamond itself, or are you going to make jewelry out of it?
It's all jewelry now. The end product initially was we would just supply the loose gems to other manufacturers. We did that for some time, but as you evolve, you realize that what's the next thing you want to do. And now we're all excited about going into the retail world directly to the consumer. So we have manufacturing partnerships. We have, because of our contacts in this industry, we know how to manufacture jewelry. So that's the next big thing that's coming out this year. We already had a very nice show at the LA India Fashion Week.
Yeah, and I saw you guys had
that
a
was
great
just
response.
a small start to building awareness. But there's a lot of things to come.
Nice. So what's the size and scale of the operations today as you're evolving from going from purely research IP-based organization to getting more into manufacturing and retail?
It's expanding very fast. Sometimes I feel a little panic at the speed at which we have to actually expand and be able to handle everything. So we can't really hide in a lab anymore and do our research. So we have to wear many caps. My husband is actually the master of marketing. He has this wonderful ability to talk to people and make them excited. So once they're excited, they want to come and see us.
Of course.
When they come and see us, then we both work on it. And then we convince people about what we think is the right way to do something, and people then jump in. We make partnerships. And yes, it's growing very big. We have a lot of people involved now.
So you're kind of evolving from just wearing white lab coats and into just maybe dressing up in suits now, going
everything.
out.
We have to do everything. But we enjoy it, and we learn as we go along. A lot of mistakes, a lot of failures,
but that's
making it better and better.
So in terms of, kind of reflecting back on you, and I'm sure this kind of, as you've said, you both are partners in this. What defines you? I mean, you're many things in one, right? You're one end, you're a technocrat. You're in a lot of ways, you're a nerd. You're a tech geek, but you're also a businesswoman, and a mother and a wife. So what defines you? If you were to put, summarize that in one sentence.
Well, I'm a technocrat. That's how I look at it. I pride myself on everything technical. That's what excites me most of all. And everything else come behind it, even my being a mother. My daughter knows that.
Okay. So what motivates you, right? Like, I mean, obviously the technology is driving you to do and find new things and research, but is there another source of your motivation? You want to please someone, please yourself, your kids, husband, mother, dad? Yeah.
I think that's where the Indian part comes in.
Right.
Because everyone in India they grew up with this notion that you are something if you're an engineer or you're a doctor.
Which was interesting when you said that you wanted to be an engineer. In most cases, what I know is your parents wanted you to be an engineer or doctor.
Oh yes, it starts that
Okay.
way. I'm sure the idea was put in my brain.
And it just becomes yours.
Yeah,
over
it
time.
becomes yours because when you start thinking about how it is back in India, children today, when they're in the 8th grade, they are already deciding which pathway to take. And they usually are already thinking that either I go this way or that way.
Yeah, we only have 2.
Yeah, there's only 2, but that's how it all got started. But then I got hooked on to this idea, the notion that I want to go to IIT Kanpur.
Right.
You know, the quiz time in those days, that was the big thing.
Yes.
I did my research, and it was not just any IIT, it has to be IIT-K.
Right.
So there was a journey involved in trying to get there. But I think I knew very early on that this is it. I will enjoy what I do.
Great. Yeah, I can't say that for me. For me, becoming an engineer was like, I don't think I'm cut out for this. So it was a journey for me to go away from it, but I couldn't. So
Yeah, well, even today, if you say marketing, then I can always say I'm not cut out for it. Because that's a process that you have to learn over time. And it's not, my husband and I, we both believe that getting an MBA or something does not prepare you for the real world.
It
So
does
you
not.
have to learn as you go along.
Yeah.
Some people have the knack for it, others have to learn.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those who has to learn.
But you have a great platform to do that, right?
Yes.
Your technical interest has kind of put you in this place where you can now have the option and choose what you want to pick up and run with.
Yes.
So, in terms of defining success, you have achieved a lot. You have a lot to achieve. You have dreams coming in. How would you define success?
To me, success is that, if I start something, I need to see it to the end, the goal. So if I reach the goal, then I'm successful. So it's not that, am I successful today? Yes, I am. But I really compartmentalize everything according to the project. So when Lab Created Diamond is in everybody's finger, I'm successful.
Right. Then where do you go from there? Right? That's one project. What is the next one then?
I don't know. I think today, actually, I feel like over the years, if people ask me, I would always have like, I want to do this or I want to do that. But today, I think all I want to do is grow diamond. I want to be the grower of the world. That's my
Diamonds, though, not
only
the other
diamonds.
kind of growing that's
Nothing
happening
else.
in
No other
Canada.
growing, just diamond.
Who's your role model?
Well, individuals such as Elon Musk,
Yeah.
Steve Jobs,
And I
their
noticed you
stories are
mentioned-
amazing.
I noticed there is a Tesla office right across from you.
Solar City.
Yeah, you literally share a wall with them.
Yes.
So
Yes.
have you had any Elon sightings here?
No. No. Yeah, it's yeah. But that's these type of individuals, I think, they think differently, and I think that's what you need.
Right.
You have to be persistent, and everything is possible if you're persistent and you think differently.
Yes. So the persistence and the ability to think differently, but also I would say a lot goes with that, right? Because you're kind of going against the stream. So having the motivation to do that, and also the courage to do so, right? Because you're not following the traditional path, which both of you have done in setting this organization up and taking it forward. Like you said, working through a lot of the challenges that came with having these lab diamonds in place.
Yes.
So
Yes, you have to be fearless.
right,
You really have to be ready to fall and
dust off and pick up again.
yeah, and you do not have to worry about who's saying what. You have to believe in what you're doing.
Right.
And I think persistence, that's it. You have to innovate and you have to be persistent and you have to diversify at all times.
True. So let me get back to that and see what this question is. Can you tell us what are your findings and market research done on consumer demand for diamond products? And the follow-up question is, what kind of scope do you see with this? So I'm sensing, just within diamonds, I mean, we know diamonds is a huge industry, but within that, what's your sense for the acceptance level for lab diamonds?
Even I look at even 5 years ago till now, I find that if I speak about this, there is an awareness. And today, the world we are in, especially in the US market, there's actually a huge demand from the big retail chains. They want to carry this product. But what's happening is, who has the technology to do it?
Right.
There's very few. It's a very closely guarded, secret methods.
Right.
Everybody, there's few others in the world who do it. But the scope is immense. It's I don't know how many billions of dollars industry. The diamond industry, how big it is. But even if it occupies, today it's only maybe 1%, but it has the scope to grow to about 20% of the world diamond demand can be serviced by lab diamond.
So do you see between the different geographies, is there a difference in demand in the US? Obviously you would think people would want to go for more expensive things because there's more disposable income. In developing economies, is there more acceptance? So I'm trying to see where would the growth come from? Is it from the millennials here who don't want to spend a whole lot of money?
Yeah, no, I think so. With the millennials, they do not look at diamond in the traditional sense. This whole marketing that has been done around diamonds, it's after all just created.
Right. It's so aspirational.
Yeah.
Right.
That is not there with the millennials. They look towards green technology and responsible choices, something of high quality, but it's not like I have to have a natural diamond.
Right. And people are not dying to get those in your
and they just want performance.
Right.
If you're able to deliver performance, they will wear it. And also at the same time, they are cost conscious. They want to be able to look perfect without having to, also they want to make their own decisions. This is no longer the type of traditional world where the diamond is gifted by the man to his wife.
They want to make their own
decision.
decision.
They should make their own decision. They should be able to buy it. And affordability, all these factors come in. And plus the technology is exciting.
Okay. What have been the, differences in the times that you have succeeded and the times you have not?
Well, when you don't succeed, you actually learn to really get down to the basics.
Right.
And it has happened. Any startup. Then, all these things that you think you need this, you need that in order to run your business, you actually learn how to do it with the absolute basic, with the absolute minimums. And then from that you actually build up again. And I feel that if you go down, there's no way but up after that. So it's not a big deal.
Good. Yeah, and I think it's important to have that as an entrepreneur, to have that resilience, I would say, to just keep trying and failing and growing again. So to that effect, do you invest in other startups? You talked about diversification in a few minutes ago. So what's your philosophy on investing in others and other startups?
Well, right now we are not investing in any other startup, but we remain focused on this industry because the way we are working right now, it is a rather small setup in terms of the humans who are involved.
Right.
So it takes up all our time. But I'm sure as time goes by, we deal in a lot of partnerships. So our customers are our partners.
Right.
So in a sense, we do invest in what they do, but we have not gone away from the focus on the gem and jewelry industry and gone and invested into something else. Okay. But this would be something we would be interested in the future.
Could be a strategic partnership that comes up. And
yes.
So what kind of, thinking of expansion, what kind of people are you looking for generally? I mean, I'm thinking your team focus has changed considerably over the years. So what kind of people do you generally hire?
Well, we had this whole philosophy that education is everything.
Right.
But we have discovered over time that, it doesn't really mean all that much. Yes, you have to be interested in what you do, but if you're looking for staff, we have all kinds of people, from gemologists to people who did marketing to people who love working in the lab. The kind of work we do is so different. There is no, you can't come with a ready-made skill. But yeah, if you had the background of material science, yes, you would understand a little bit.
Right.
So we train everyone, but
Okay.
we have people from all possible backgrounds who work with us.
You were also saying that all the machines that are used here are kind of made to order, or you have
Exactly.
to make them.
We have to make them.
So having skills that are ready-made for operating those machines is not going to be
It's not, no. So we have to develop the hardware, we have to develop the software. We don't do it all by ourselves. We have to work with integrators, but once the machine is capable of doing what you need it to do, then you have to build all the interfaces to make it possible for, say, the technicians to utilize it. And everything, there's layers to everything. The actual methodology and the process is only known to myself and Jayant, my husband, yeah. Otherwise, there is a lot of production going on, but there's layers to everything.
Oh, this is like the secret formula for Coca-Cola.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what are you most excited about right now at this point in your life?
Growing diamond.
Okay, that was an easy one. And then I'm thinking, through the next year, what does that look like? I mean, this growth coming in with the retail.
Yeah. So, we have these goals of, in terms of, diamonds are referred to in carats.
Right.
How many carats are you going to grow?
Mhm.
So we just want to keep growing more and more capacity, because whatever we are growing is already sold.
Oh, wow.
So we are in a catch-up mode. And
Wow.
it all means investment in equipment,
Right.
building up more and more machinery, and going into large scale, thinking of how, if you had, say, 5 reactors working versus if you have 40 reactors, 100 reactors, that's the direction we are going, to build it up into the scale of a foundry
Wow.
that would produce millions of carats. And even then it will not be enough.
That's phenomenal growth.
Yes.
Are you ready for it?
Absolutely. Excited.
Great. So, as you're talking about this growth, I'm kind of starting to think about giving back. Right? So, what are your thoughts on philanthropy and helping others? That especially in the diamond industry, there's a huge divide, let's say. So, just some thoughts.
Yes, I do not have any, I feel that philanthropy is something where you have to be directly involved in a cause. The kind of philanthropy that I have been involved in is mostly very hands-off, where I contribute to organizations who support causes that I feel are important. But in the future, I would want to do something, maybe in our industry, if you know, India is the largest cutter in the world.
Right.
And if you would actually go there and see how diamonds are cut, you will be shocked at
Not
the
the most habitable conditions.
No.
Yeah.
So I would love to do something in that arena. These are very skilled people.
Right.
This is not something that others can do. It comes generation to generation.
Right.
Actually, philanthropy, there is so many different things one can do, but we have to pick and choose, and I most probably will go in that direction.
Yeah, there's a natural.
Yes.
So, as we wrap up, any thoughts for other entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs that you would want to share?
I think over the years, everybody looks at startup companies, thinks about ideas of how to do this. The very first thing is you need funds.
Yes.
And the typical approach is try to get funds in through VC funding, or you create a C Corp and bring in shareholders, sell your idea to them. Everything works that way today.
Yes.
But I feel our formula is not been done very often. People do not know, but we think our customer is our partner. So we have never taken a loan from a bank. We do not have any investors.
Wow.
Everything is funded within the group. Our partners are our customers.
Nice.
So funding comes within the group.
So don't give away equity, not to strangers or people who are...
No, they will not understand. And someone who invests money and is not involved in the end product or the end goal, I don't think so. for us, it is not the way we wanted to do
Right.
it.
It's not in line with your vision.
Yeah, and I do not want to spend my time going and selling my idea to anyone.
Right. So the suggestion is keep your investors close, people who are interested in your vision, and not just be out there to get money and
Exactly.
sell your equity.
Yeah, you're wasting time. You know,
Okay.
go talk to your potential customer.
Right. They might
The
be
money is
interested,
right
yeah.
there. Money is right there.
Yeah.
And they will benefit. We will benefit.
True. Right. On that note, well, thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Suneeta, for having us and
Thank
being
you.
with us on the show. It was a pleasure talking
It
to you.
was a pleasure, all mine. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.